Hello, everyone. My name is Deborah Gallant. I am your facilitator today for an Entrepreneurs Forever small business webinar. We do these every month. They're called deep dives. We try to go a little bit deeper on a subject that we think is of great interest, topical, helpful to our entrepreneur and small business community. And this month we are presenting Shelley Cardoos, one of our facilitators, presenting a program called Zone of Genius. And I put a subtitle, Yes, You've Got One. So you might think some days you don't, but you really do. And Shelley's going to help you understand that. So what we're going to try to do today is just talk a little bit about Entrepreneurs Forever. Talk about upcoming programs, because if I don't do it at the beginning, I forget. There'll be the presentation, and depending on how many people we have, we may do breakout groups. We'll do some sharing and open discussion, and we're going to record this up to the breakouts because we want you to feel like you can sort of speak your truth and not worry about it being recorded. So if you are capable of it and you want to, you can type in the chat your name and your business and your location. It'll make it a little more interesting for Shelley and I as we talk about your businesses and your zone of genius. So for those of you who may not know or watching the recording, Entrepreneurs Forever is a small business owner community with a mission to empower all small business owners to grow thriving businesses that sustain their families and support their communities. And we do that through monthly peer support groups. And if you haven't experienced it, you'll get a little taste of it today. And we're always looking for new members. The next month's event, as I said, I talk about them in the previous month, just so I don't forget, is a workshop presented by another one of our facilitators, Latoya Johnson-Rainey, on clarity under pressure. So when all of the forces outside you are making you crazy, how do you stay focused and on task? And Latoya suggested this topic and created it for us, and I think it'll be terrific. Today, again, we're going to talk about zone of genius, and I'm going to hand it off to Shelley in a moment to explain what that means and to walk you through the exercise. And because we always do this disclaimer, this presentation does not take the place of professional advice from your own paid advisors. So I'm going to stop sharing. And Shelley, why don't you just introduce yourself first, and then you can pull up your screen and do a screen share.
All right, great. Missy and TF, glad to have you. My name's Shelley Cardoos. I live in St. Pete, Florida. I'm originally from Massachusetts. I'm an artist, musician, a business coach. I do recruiting for nonprofit executive roles. And in the past, I have owned a business myself. Besides as an artist and musician, I owned a gift shop selling artwork from local artists. And I've also worked with entrepreneurs for years, and I just love being a cheerleader for entrepreneurs. So that's a bit about me. This topic is called Zone of Genius. This is not something that I created myself. We're going to dive into it. But I really am interested in, as you all know, entrepreneurs wear so many different hats, and this kind of helps you dissect and really think about what comes so easily to you and what you struggle with. So that's where I came up with that topic. So let me share my screen and we'll dive right into it.
And I just shared in the chat, and for any latecomers, I'll send this to them as well. But the handout that will go along with this is you can access by clicking that in the chat.
Great. Okay. And Deborah, can you see my screen?
I can, thanks.
All right. So the first part of this is to really think about what does it feel like to do something that you love? Like what really lights your fire? Is there any type of work that when you're doing it, you just lose track of time, you forget about the news, you forget to even look at your phone? And, other things, it's like, or it could be something that people compliment you on and you don't even realize that it's something that stands out. So, Missy and TF, if you want to either get off of mute and share, or feel free to put it in the chat. I'll say for me, some things that come up. So I run an acoustic open jam where we'll have 20 musicians all playing instruments at the same time. And I need to get go around the circle, make sure everybody gets a turn, make sure people can hear what song we're playing and all of that. To me, that's not work. Like it's fun. I'm there playing music, but people will come up to me often after and say, "You made me feel really welcome," or "Are you a teacher? Because you act like a teacher." I'm like, I don't even know. No, I don't know what you mean. I'm just literally doing this. It doesn't feel like work to me at all. However, there have been times that I've walked away from the circle to maybe go get a drink and I see how much it turns into chaos. And I realize, wow, maybe there is actually something there that I'm doing. Deborah, do you want to share something
Yeah, it's
that,
actually so funny that you say that because I think we're both facilitators, so it probably isn't a coincidence that the example I'm going to give, and this is, remember, we're not talking about work right now. We're just talking about in your life. What's the thing that really lights you up? I have I'm my own stereotype. I play pickleball and I play with this organized group of women, but they give you an iPad and it creates the sortings and the courts and stuff. And I have become the unofficial Julie, your cruise director, right? I'm the one who's organizing it and signing people, and this is the person who sits out. And the one week that I got pulled away to do something else, it was complete chaos. They did not have any idea what to do without me. And it was like, well, somebody pick up the iPad, just read it. It's just this, like, but that to me is like natural organizing, facilitating, putting people together, and other people don't have that. And it's strange to me. It's like, how can they not? How can they not get that?
yeah, for me, another example, I mean, I'm an artist, so if I get to draw earlier today, I said, I'm just going to go outside for a minute and start drawing on my iPad. I mean, time just escaped me. There have been times that I've been volunteering for a nonprofit and they ask me to help, make signage. And to me, it's like a gift that they're letting me do that. And if other people are carrying tables, I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm not helping. And they're like, but you're doing this thing that we can't do. So those are just some examples. It's stuff that you just don't even see it as work. It to you, it's just not even, yeah, maybe it's that it's fun, but it just comes naturally to you. But it's also, how does that make you feel? To me, it makes me feel calm. It makes me feel calm and excited, I would say. It excites me, but there's a calming sense of like I'm just not stressed. And again, that's just that concept of time going by.
Yeah, the feeling that you literally are so absorbed in what you're doing, the time is irrelevant. I tell another funny story about leaving a computer on a train, on my laptop on a train, because I was so absorbed in the book I was reading that I forgot I was on a train. I forgot I had to get off. I forgot I brought my computer, and it was just like chaos because when I can really dig my brain and my teeth into a subject, I completely lose the rest of the world. And wow, that's amazing, that feeling when you can be in it. Of course, I felt really stupid. I did get the computer back.
Good. So then the flip side of that is, what about when you have something that you hate doing? Like, what is it that you always avoid doing? What, you know, what feels like an enormous burden? I know for me, if there's something I hate doing, I will definitely procrastinate. I'll think of anything that I can do instead. Um, I'll have voices in my head just being like, why just negative talk. And some of it, I don't know. The other day, I pay people to do my taxes for me, and the other day, an accountant asked me to fill out like one form, and I just looked at it, and in my eyes, they just got cross-eyed. I just had to close it. There are just certain things that is the opposite feeling than when I can sit and draw or do things like that.
Yeah, the thing that I think is the danger of that stuff you avoid. So for me, it's like um, making sure my carbonite is the backup went through, that the subscription to everything stays current, that my domains don't expire, right? GoDaddy sends you the little reminder. I don't want to deal. It takes all of 5 minutes, maybe, right? You log into the account there, it shows you 1 year, 2 years, you just do it. And I just will avoid these things until they become emergencies. And it's ridiculous. But when you really hate doing something like that, it's just not fun.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't
And again, feel free to add in the chat if there's anything that comes to mind. So these are types of things that either it takes you a long time or you just avoid it and you just don't do it. So, I mean, wouldn't it be great to only do the things that you love? I would just love that if I could just doodle all day and play music with other people. That'd be great. That
Well,
would
and I
be
think
great.
that the thing that I come back to when I think about this is that people start their own business because they want to do the things that they love. And I think we can get so overwhelmed by the other details of it and the I have to do kind of things that you lose track of the things that really light you up and why you did this to start with. So I think this exercise that we're going to lead folks through to sort of identify what it is you are a genius at and what you love to do is well worth doing, even if you can't do too much about it today to get rid of that other stuff. It's still, I think, well worth doing.
So this is the concept of the zone of genius. This was created by a gentleman named Dr. Gay Hendricks, and it came out in a book from 2009. The book's called The Big Leap: to Conquer Your Hidden Fear and Take Life to the Next Level. And then after that, he came out with another book called The Genius Zone. If you Google the zone of genius, you may find information from Gay Hendricks, but you may also find other people's take on it. So this is I adopted the concept from him, but kind of took my own take on it. So basically, the concept is that there are these like four different categories. One is what we were just talking about before is the genius. What work do you do that you love so much it just doesn't feel like work? Then there's another category called excellence. What work do you do that you do better than most people? And then there's competence, which is what work do you do that others in a similar field could do just as well or better? And then incompetence, what work do you do that you really struggle doing? So we at before showing you the slide, we were really talking about those two ends, which is genius and incompetence, where excellence and competence are kind of in the middle of that, where there are certain things. I mean, I explained at the beginning a little bit about who I am. One thing I didn't mention is I also do social media for some people. And I think with social media, I think I'm excellent with engagement. I think with the content that I'm posting, I'm competent. Somebody else could do it. There are times that and sometimes other people do it. So I have
Yeah.
a client and sometimes they send me a photo. Their photo is just as good or better than the one that I would have taken. But the gift that I have is making sure that as soon as there's a comment, I'm writing back, I'm messaging, I'm finding local people to talk to. So that's really when you think of those two different ones, excellence and competence. It's like, are you really better than others, or is it, um, you know, kind of just the same? Deborah, do you have any thoughts on this concept of the when you see the four?
Um, yeah, and here's the thing that you realize is that um, in small businesses, you're frequently doing things that you're competent at that are boring or repetitive or, um, you know, I'll give you an example. For when I run at one of these deep dives, you have to write the email beforehand. You need to write the confirmation email. You need to write the reminder email. Is there anything that calls for my special expertise in doing this? Absolutely not. And yet I still have to do it. Because that's just the price of doing it. Do I think coming up with the ideas and working with each creator to make a great topic overall, I think that is touches on my blue genius area. But some of the other pieces of it, if you get parse it down, not so interesting, not so exciting, don't light my fire.
And the reason why this is, I think, important to take a moment to think about is because if tomorrow Deborah was told, Deborah, you're going to have somebody that's going to help you, for her to make sure that she's taking the stuff that's in her genius zone and not giving that away, but really, first and foremost, giving away the incompetence and competent part. of like, if you're just good at it, but somebody else can do it, that's the type of stuff that you want to make sure that if you can, other people are doing. Now, we all know nobody's saying we're doing this exercise because we think tomorrow you're hiring a full-time employee or two. We understand that that may not be the case, but sometimes we just want to make sure that you're identifying what's in the zone of genius so you're making time for it because too often that type of stuff that you just don't even see as work gets forgotten. Okay. So you can make your own notes. We do have a worksheet that's in the chat. If anybody needs us to resend it, we can resend it to you. What you're going to do is you're going to check each item on the list and categorize it. So we have columns that are color coded with those titles. And you can also add things to the list. There may be some items on the list that don't resonate with you in your business. Feel free to skip it. Don't get hung up on that. But really, just this is for you to, learn about yourself and your own business. So we'll go through them slowly and give you time to complete the worksheet as we talk. And again, if you see anything that's not there, feel free to add it in the chat or get off mute and let us know. So, with strategy, you're going to look at the tasks on that worksheet and, is that something that you're great at? Are you great at that big picture stuff? Are you setting goals on where you want to go with the business? And should I maybe show that the worksheet?
Do you want to bring that up? You want to switch off to
Yeah, I
that?
think so. Let me just click off of this and I will bring up the worksheet. Okay, so here's how the worksheet looks, and you have your genius, excellent, competent, and incompetent. So if you open this link in the chat, you should be able to copy this and you can mark off your area. So we'll give you a moment to do that. And again, feel free to get off mute or get in the chat.
And if you're watching the recording and you go, "Oh, I need that worksheet," you can just reach out to us and we'll make sure you get it.
Yeah, and again, if you don't have it, you could still just take notes.
The other thing I just want to mention about the way we collaborated to create this worksheet is that there are lots of ways to slice and dice the activities in your business and to categorize them. We've just given you one sort of approach, and it may be appropriate for you. But for instance, I know Missy, who's on, is owns a salon, and you may have employees, and there may be a whole bunch of employment-related tasks that we won't be including today because it didn't apply to everyone. But you can take this worksheet and copy, the table and create it for your own tasks. But we're going to walk you through sort of in a big picture what a small business might need to be attacking as we go on. And Shelley, you can probably just even stay on the worksheet and not go back to the deck.
Yeah, I was thinking that. Yeah. Balance and work and life. I mean, I would love to hear from somebody that's great at that. That comes up a lot when we facilitate our groups.
So, the things that are here are the big picture. Do you know where you're going with this thing? Are you setting goals? Are you checking in annually on it? Are you doing market research for your business, your competitor analysis, looking at partnerships or collaborations, making sure that you're evaluating how each of your programs or services or products are performing. Some of these cross boundaries into like product development, but we're trying to just give you a bunch of uh, tasks that we have seen our small businesses have to undertake and put them here for you to think about. Does anyone think of any others that they would put under strategy? You can type it in, or Shelley, we can just talk about it. All right. And TF, thank you for sharing.
The other thing I just want to add is that, really just try not to judge yourself when doing an exercise like that. If you feel like you're checking off in some categories, you may have more of the yellow and red than other categories. There's a reason why a psychologist with a doctorate came up with this because everybody is really good at things and everybody's pretty bad at some things and everybody's somewhere in the middle. So it's totally normal for entrepreneurs and really everybody to have a mix. So again, just when you're going through it, just keep in mind to not be judgmental of yourself. The next category is marketing. So, like for me, strategy is definitely as a whole not one of my strongest points, where marketing tasks like this is fun to me. Graphic design, I'd love to just do stuff on Canva all day. Social media, it's great.
And
So
when I
feel
do
free to,
it, it's like a totally just a competent thing, right? It's like
yeah.
I don't have an eye for it. I just take the template and I stick new pictures in. Somebody else should totally be doing it, but in the meantime, it's my job.
Networking and partnerships, like going to networking events, that doesn't really stress me out, where I know some people really hate doing that.
Well, and the networking itself is good, but are you doing the follow-up? Are you making the
Mm.
appointments? Are you having coffee with people? Are you, asking for the deal?
All of that. And again, just whatever resonates with you. So if paid advertising doesn't really matter right now for your business, you can just skip it.
If you don't do events, that's irrelevant. But, this is meant to get your juices flowing thinking about this stuff.
Okay. After
The
marketing, we have sales tasks. So really looking at the
TF is
overall
asking how to
process.
download the worksheet. You
Oh,
should, if you click that link, get a Google screen that says, "Would you like to make a copy of it?" And it should let you make a copy for your own local use. Do
I'll
you want
put it back in the chat though, just so you can try to, yeah, if you click it, you should be able to just hit copy.
to?
I put it back in the chat. Let us know. Pricing's a big one, and I do always remind entrepreneurs when it comes to pricing, that's not a one and done. Like you should really be looking at that. I mean, how often do you tell people, Deborah? Every, at least twice a year, or every quarter, once a year. I mean, you hear sometimes of people they haven't changed their pricing in years, but
And they're
pricing
afraid
around
to
is
because
changing.
because they'll lose clients. But I want to say almost universally, if you're strategic about the price increases, you only make more money and you don't lose customers.
That's so true.
And sales is multifaceted. So, if you have a retail store, there's one set of um, sales tasks. But if you're selling a consulting service or a social media consulting service or a headhunting firm, how much are you selling when you're a headhunting firm? You have to get the client, you have to sell the candidate, you have to convince candidates to give you other candidates. It's a pretty long and involved process, and sales is part of all of that.
The one thing that I have learned, because I have recognized that I am not good at, is if I'm meeting with somebody and it is a service type job, like social media or flyers, marketing, that kind of stuff. And if somebody asks me a price on the spot, I will lowball in such an embarrassingly terrible way. It's the opposite of what I've ever coached any entrepreneur. And because I know that I do that, I can't necessarily fix that. But what I do is I just do not give a number when I'm meeting with the person. I will get the information, and if they say around how much will this cost, I'll say, now that I have everything that you need, let me look at it and I'll come back to you with a price. So that gives me time to sleep on it. It gives me time to like really think and not on the fly give a number. So sometimes it is learning those like to me, I'm incompetent at actually giving a valued number on the spot. So what I do is I've learned that trick
And
is
I'll just add to Shelley's pearl of wisdom. In a negotiation, you always want to make them say the number first, because you can only lose if you say the number first. So Shelley's self-identifying that she's starting too low and she never makes what she's worth. So she stopped doing that. Yay, Shelley.
yeah. And then when I have left the situation and gone back with a number that's comparable to what other people are making, people say yes. So, you know, that's what's worked for me. Finance and accounting is the next area. That's not an area that I love. I don't get as excited with that as I do for marketing. Um, and budgeting, tax prep. Ooh, tax prep. Maybe somebody loves that. I'm sure some people do. I mean, some people are accountants. They must get into it because it comes easy to them, right?
I've never known anyone who liked tax prep except possibly a CPA or a bookkeeper.
Somebody the other day was just telling me that they love it. They said, I do it quarterly because I just love it. I said, okay.
And this
Um,
this is actually as task lists and categories go, this one is easily outsourced or pieces of it can be outsourced, whether it's a bookkeeper or an accountant or somebody like that. And if you know that this is something you're really not good at, but it is so important to your business, when you start thinking strategically about all of these tasks and your zone of genius and your zone of incompetence, this is frequently a good place to invest because an accountant and a business manager partner for you can help you make sure that you're making good decisions for your business and not giving the house away like Shelley.
exactly. All right. Then we have operations, admin tasks. So creating workflows, managing systems, um, troubleshooting, all that kind of stuff. Staff management. I like a lot of this stuff, which I could imagine some people don't, but building contracts, filing and organizing. Um, yeah, I think to some people some of this comes natural, just like any of these lists.
I think that people who are daunted by these organizational tasks or have been on their own for so long that they just do it themselves sometimes haven't gotten systematic about it. And it's why I put things like an operations manual down. If I got hit by a bus, who would know how to make the deep dive work next month? I mean, it needs all of these pieces. You need to document so someone can do it. So it's an activity that if you've resisted because this is not your natural inclination, it could be a really good one-time thing to do. Or, yes, there are professional organizers who will write SOPs for you.
Yeah. And I mean, we can talk about this a little further down, but it just comes to mind right now is some of this stuff, even say tax prep. It's like if it's so hard for you that it's going to take you days, then it could be worth paying somebody if they are so good at it that it's going to take them just an hour or so. Like some of this stuff that's so crippling, it may seem like, well, I don't have the money for it, but you have to start to think about, well, how much time is it actually taking you to do it because of it being a struggle? And then we have customer experience. So onboarding clients and customers, their communication, asking for referrals, getting testimonials, relationship building, all of that kind of stuff. Handling complaints. I don't know. Maybe there are some people that just love that, but
I don't
just
know
take it as
anyone.
it comes. I don't know. And again, feel free to use the chat or get off mute if there's anything. We know that there's more in all of these buckets or things. I know there's things specific to your own business, so you could always feel free to add that in. So we went through strategy, marketing, sales, accounting, operations and admin, customer experience. Oh, there's one more. Product and service. So this is developing new product, creating variations on product, market testing, any packaging, sourcing materials. This stuff all sounds fun to me. Um, yeah, making changes if needed, that kind of stuff. And time things can change over time, as technology changes. There may be something that in the past you weren't great at, and then all of a sudden there's a software that makes it easier. Or there, again, sometimes there's a product that you loved. People get started because they love making brownies, and after years of it, their love for brownies may have changed, and maybe they're more passionate about other parts of the business. So, that certainly can happen too. But I do think your zone of genius, it's like it goes deeper. It's like there's something that's like ingrained in you that you're just in your natural state. And I will say that sometimes what happens is, like Deborah, you brought up that when you're creating content and when you're reading, you can really just lose time and get sucked into it. But if you're tasked with doing things that don't come naturally to you, can it sometimes be hard to break into that task, even though you know that when you're in it, you'll like it?
Yep.
That happens to me a lot. I'll get commissioned to do some paintings, or even if I'm just doing some paintings I want to do, I'll like put it off and put it off and put it off because I'm dealing with all this other stuff. And then when I finally start, I'm like, why didn't I just start doing this? Like that, like then I get in the flow, but it can be hard to kind of get over that hump and get into it.
And I just want to
Okay.
remind you that you have this template. You have your own copy of it on your own computer. And for people watching the recording, you will also have it. So feel free to add more categories, more tasks as you think of them. This could be an ongoing thing. And if you have partners or other people who work in your business, having them do it as well so that they could see what they're good at and you could see what you're good at and where the twain might meet.
I also think it helps to ask other people around you, whether it is a business partner or family or friends or partners, just like, what is it that you think that I'm just very naturally good at? Because sometimes you just don't even see it yourself. So that could be worth asking. That could be a random text or call you make to somebody. Okay, so that's what Deborah just said. Feel free to add to it. We're not going to do breakout rooms today, but we'd love it again if you want to add with us if there's anything that you did learn about yourself.
It feels like you two aren't very chatty, but if you'd like to type something into the chat box, um, to sort of say what you learned about yourself. But Shelley, I think we can also just go to this last
Yep.
slide or two about how do you take what you learned from doing this exercise and make it useful in your business?
Yeah, so this is where, and again, we know that not everybody has like the money on hand to start hiring people to do that, but I do think it is always worth thinking if there's something that you're really struggling with. The other thing to keep in mind is how important is it for your business? If there's something that when you're going through this, you're like, oh, I'm always really bad at that. It's always really hard. But does it matter? If it doesn't really matter, don't worry about it. Stop stressing about it and move on. But if it's something that really, really, truly matters, then you may want to start thinking about and planning how you may be able to get help with that. There are always things that come more naturally to other people. I remember when at a past job that I had learning that one of my coworkers just loved research in a whole different way than I did. So when I gave her a research project, it was like a gift to her. Where I would feel bad giving it to her because I was like, "Oh, this seems awful." So there may be somebody that's part of your business that you could just kind of learn from them what they like to do. Or again, if you're working solo, it's just, over the next few years, what would it make sense to get that help with? It's also so important to figure out how you can make time to do that stuff that you love. So make sure that you're not getting so sucked into the stuff that's really hard. Um, and just kind of coming up with ways that are less onerous. There's an entrepreneur in one of the groups that I facilitate that when they are doing taxes prep, they treat themselves. They say, the day that I do it, I can order whatever I want to be delivered to my house, and I just can eat whatever I feel like eating, and I will pay whatever to just have it come to my doorstep. And that's happening on their tax day. So, I'm not, there are just different ways of how do you make it more less onerous? Is it that when I need to clean my house, not something I love doing, I blast Missy Elliott. That certainly helps me. Or sometimes I'll call a friend on the phone and then I kind of like forget what I'm even doing. I don't not forget in a way that I'm not doing it, but I'm doing it, but I'm not as like, oh, I have to do the dishes. I'm
Yeah,
just chatting with a friend, and before you know it, the dishes are done. So is
the
how can you add a little spice, a little sass to some of this stuff? Deborah, do
the
you have any
the
tricks up
next
your sleeve?
the next article in the newsletter I was just writing is about spring cleaning, and one of the tricks for cleaning, and no matter what, so is it your office, is it your files, is it inbox zero, right? Clearing your emails is to set a timer. So to do the stuff you really hate doing, but go, I'm only doing it from now until 5 o'clock, and at 5 o'clock,
Mm.
I'm done. So you just give yourself a specific time. And honestly, you realize that a lot of the things that you've made a mountain out of a molehill, that they don't really take that long. And you can plow through them and be done at the other end. And it feels so good to have that completion. So sort of recognizing how you work and if that kind of setting those deadlines or times for yourself help, then try that.
That just came up in one of my groups this week. They were saying if you just do 10 minutes every day of something, or that, and that adds up. Or I've started to do that recently where I'm like, okay, just give yourself 5 minutes to declutter one area and how much of a difference that makes instead of being so all or nothing. So that is it for the slides, but hopefully this helped. And I know it certainly helped me because sometimes, as I know I've said this multiple times, but we don't always recognize what is in that zone of genius. And I think if you get anything out of this, I'd hope that that's one thing. It's trying to really figure that out, making sure you give yourself time for that, making sure you accept that you're just good at it. So keep being good at it, keep letting yourself do it. If you don't recognize yourself, ask people around you so they can tell you. Um, and that I think really will help propel you.
Great. The group's smaller than we thought, so we don't have the breakout rooms and the recording and the reporting back. So I think we are going to thank you for attending. Thanks, Shelley, for presenting, and hope we see you at a future deep dive. And there's a TF is talking about an event that she's doing too. So thank you all for coming,
Oh,
and
great.
we'll see you next month. Bye bye.